What's going on, guys? I wanted to take a look at my desk and my workspace today, as my personal studio and my creative workspace. I've been wanting to make this video for a while, and I know it's not exactly music related, but I've been wanting to take, at least things in more of a lifestyle direction, and I feel like I spend a lot of my life at this desk and a lot of my ideas come from it. And growing up, and even again today, I've always loved watching, desk videos and just seeing kind of what people use, because your desk is very much a reflection of who you are, and I just love seeing it. So I wanted to walk you guys through my space and some of the things that I use on a daily basis, starting with the desk and kind of what you see around it. The desk itself is a very cheap IKEA desk, 20 bucks with some black legs on there. I've got my IKEA lamp there with a LifeX bulb, and it's usually pointing, giving a little bit of ambient light. I've got a poster that I got there from Actual Source, and then a piece that I got, I forget the name of the artist, it was a really long time ago, but another beautiful piece there. And I've got a little command shelf with a couple little things, Virgil Abloh Crink, a RWB Porsche that my brother gave me, another little thing, and then a McDonald's collab little figure there. So just to give it a little bit of personality. Usually I'm not really one to display things, but there's little stories to each of those things, and I appreciate having some inspiration there. Getting to the desk itself, we've got a lot of things on here. This is honestly a pretty realistic portrayal of how it looks. Usually I'll have a bunch of shit on there, probably even throw my MacBook on there, have some things open depending on what I'm working on. But this is usually if I'm trying to make it look clean. This is as clean and as organized, as it is. So starting on the left side of the desk, I've been trying to read more lately, and it's been going well. Picked up the Kindle about a year ago, and it's been great for flights, and I love just kind of having it here. You get tired looking at a screen, you want to kind of look at still a screen, but I mean it's just a little bit easier to look at, and it's just a little easier on the eyes. And when it gets late, sometimes I like to break this out and take a look at it. Underneath that is this magazine of different rave mags, or different rave flyers from Europe. Bunch of really cool designs, and I've been using that as a reference lately. So if you're into flyers, if you're into design, Flyermania, and these are all, I believe, from the late 90s. So super sick. I've got a Campus notebook. If you're not familiar with Campus, this is a brand of Japanese notebooks, and they're super simple, but I love kind of having it, just for some random sketches. I don't like to use nice paper for just kind of BS drawing, even though this is nice paper, but they're cheap enough to where you can kind of throw them around, and they look really cool too, and this kind of like pink and black, so that's super fire. Got a copy of Popeye magazine, and this is the interior issue. Super sick again. Japanese magazine, and just absolutely insane design. One of my favorite pages here is just these floor plan drawings of people's apartments, and you can really just kind of get into detail. But Japanese magazines, and specifically Popeye, just absolutely beautiful design, full of like beautiful pictures. Can't really read that shit. If you can, I mean, you would love it, but hey, Popeye mag. And then underneath that, just a cutting mat. If I'm cutting, sometimes I use it as a mouse pad. so I'll have that on there. In the corner, just got some Aesop hand cream because the hands, you know, they get dry. Is it worth the price? I don't know, it's up to you. I think it, you know, I think it looks cool. I think the branding is a big part of it. So yeah, I'll say it's worth the price. Moving on to the monitors. I've got the JBL, I believe these are the 104s, and I picked these up for steal. In terms of sound, you know, they sound pretty good. They never really get too loud in the space anyways, because I'm in an apartment, you know, it's shared walls, and, you know, I don't want to be that guy, but they get decently loud, and at that point, you know, they will distort a little bit, but at lower volumes, kind of what I keep it at, they sound pretty good. I do want to get risers for them and kind of bring them up a little bit higher, because right now they're very low. And they don't really sit too well in terms of the sound, but if I brought them up a little bit, I think they would look pretty good, and it would kind of help elevate them a little as well. But yeah, they're pretty solid. I wouldn't really recommend them at this point. I think there's better things you can get for that price, but I really love the design of them. I mean, I think it kind of helps soften up, you know, all the hard edges. That's what she said, you know, on the desk. So, you know, what can you do? Moving on, I've got the lacie drive here for backups. On top of that, I've got a pair of moondop iems. Again, just something I'll use. Sometimes I'll throw them, you know, if I'm on the laptop, or I'll throw them on the iPod, and just kind of use them as an on-the-go type deal. Next to that, I've got the iPod Shuffle on the dock in silver. This guy usually will stay on the dock. Sometimes I'll take it like if I'm going running. It's super, super helpful. But the thing with these guys is you can't replace the battery. So you want to be super careful how you use them. So I kind of keep it on the desk. Looks cool. And, you know, kind of is a little reminder of what Apple used to be. Next to that, I've got the Rama Works, rest in peace, little kind of macro pad. This guy is super, super helpful. Use it to control volume, you know, the brightness of the monitor. Really, really cool little piece, and I'm glad I could get it before that company shut down. Fortunately or unfortunately, depending on who you ask. In terms of the keyboard, I'm rocking a custom, straight here, custom maker keyboards. I believe this is a Scarlet. They kind of are in business, kind of aren't in business. I mean, they're not doing too well, but I'm glad to have the piece here with GMK keys on there. Super, super soft. Some blue bonnet switches. I was really into keyboards during COVID. I bought like way too many, and I kind of got out of the hobby, but this is just a reminder of, you know, just the fact that daily things that you use can be elevated and they can be fun, you know, and it can be a good experience. So that's kind of a motto I like to use in a lot of the things that I own. You know, functional, they look good, but they should also be, you know, good to use. So finding a balance of all three is something, you know, that I really like to do with the things that I use. Moving on over here, these are both very recent acquisitions for me. This is the mnemosyne keypad. You know, just a little notepad. Kind of use it as a to-do list. You know, writing down little ideas. Japanese paper, really, really nice. You can pick them up for like $4. And then this here is my new fountain pen. Both of these items I got from Atlas Stationers here in Chicago, which if you're into pens, paper, like really anything in that kind of category, super, super cool place to go and check out. But this is my first fountain pen. Went with my good friend Tommy. He, you know, he put me on and tried out a couple ones, but finally decided on this piece. Full aluminum body here, and then steel, and then got a German nib on there as well. Moving on to the headphones. If you've watched my other video on the channel, you've seen these guys. These are the aiaiai headphones, TMA2s, and these are super nice. They've been really great in the setup. Kind of my long-term thoughts on them. Sound is really good. They get really loud too, and they're super punchy. It's not the most neutral thing for, you know, producing with, but the nice thing about these is you can swap out the ear cups. You can get something that has a little bit more of a neutral sound and use that for production. But right now, primarily, I've been using these just for DJing and, you know, using the monitors for production and using the iems for production as well. Moving on to the keyboard, or moving on to the mouse, I've got the Logitech MX Master 2. I've had this for a couple years. It's been going super strong. I love, you know, obviously the shape of it, again, for like long sessions, scrolling. You know, the nice thing about it is you can unlock the scroll wheel, and if you're on Pinterest, like looking for designs, inspiration, I mean, you can really scroll through things quick. But definitely, they make a newer version of this now. I would pick up the newer version, but recommend this to anybody. Moving on to the computer. Again, this is something that I got really into during COVID. You know, built this computer. This is a mini ITX, and it's tough to see, but I kind of went with a black and silver look on the inside, you know, no color. It's got a 2070 Super in there, 3700X processor, 32 gigs of RAM in there, you know, and then a couple SSDs. But yeah, it runs super solid, super quiet. You know, I don't really game as much as I used to, you know, just being kind of more busier now, but the odd Fortnite or like GTA, you know, it handles it great. On the far end, I've got a empty mic stand, which unfortunately my mic broke on me, so I'm looking for a new one. Thinking about the Rode pod mic or maybe like Audio Technica, but you know, that'll be another thing. For now, it's been pretty okay without it. Down here, just for kind of little odds and ends, I've got a Karst pen tray, really nice piece, I believe of steel. Powder coated, and you know, just got a couple things, pens, rulers, got my knife in there, which this little Gerber guy, really sweet. And then zooming out to the main piece is the Lenovo monitor here, 24-inch 1440p. Again, had this for a couple years, but it's sRGB, which is great for designing with. Got it on a just simple Vivo arm, which gives me a little bit more space on the bottom. And then on the top, I've got mounted a Anker 2K little webcam, and that sits on top. Really great for video calls. Usually I'll switch around this light here and kind of have it point out and use that, you know, during videos. Moving back out, the chair I'm using, it is an IKEA. It's actually an outdoor chair, I believe a dining chair, but super simple, nice chrome frame, you know, with the canvas on there. Not the most comfortable thing, but you know, it looks good with the setup, it looks clean. And yeah, you know, that's pretty much everything. That is how I interact, you know, with my work day to day, and hopefully that kind of gives you guys an idea of things that maybe you could incorporate to your setup, or you know, just inspiration in general. I'll have the links to everything down below, and if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them down below as well. But for now, I will catch you guys on the next one. Take it easy.